All right, here we go for day 6. We got our bonus video, deriving the quadratic formula. So students will always ask, where does the quadratic formula come from? We typically do this in class. Obviously, we're not having class right now, so we're going to go ahead and show you this in a bonus video to answer that question. All right, so if this is standard formula of a quadratic, this is where we're going to start. So then, but from here, we're going to move c. So we're going to subtract c from both sides. Right? And we get ax squared plus bx is equal to a negative c. Right? So make sure you keep that sign there. From here now, we're actually going to set this up to do completing the square, which we've been working on. I know this is fun for you guys. Hopefully it doesn't give you too much of a headache, but at least give you something to talk about at the dinner table tonight. So next, we need to divide everything by a, because we need a 1 out front. So a over a becomes 1x squared plus b over a times x is equal to a negative c over a. Notice I left some space there. That's because we're going to try to do completing the square now. So for complete square, find b, take half and square it. In this case, b over a is what we have for in that spot. If we take half of that, 1/2 times b over a, we're going to get 1 times b is b over 2a. Now, in my class, we call it the three amigos. You can call it the 3 of whatever you want, or just remember b, take half, and square it. So now we got to take this one, the b over 2a, and square that one. So up top, we get b squared over 2a squared. So 2a times 2a is 4a squared. All right, so those are our three amigos, or like I said, you can call them 3, whatever you want. And that's going to fill in the blank. So plus b squared over 4a squared to both of these. Plus b squared over 4a squared there. All right, so we did that to both sides. This is a negative c right there. All right, now to save some space, I'm going to go ahead and we're going to make these like terms. Actually, let's go ahead and do this side first. So the whole reason we do complete the square is so we can set this up and use the second one. We could try to factor this, but you don't have to go through that whole headache. This one is what this is going to factor into, x, right, plus this one, b over 2a squared. Okay, so that is that side. Now over here, this is the difficult part. We got to make these, or a difficult part of this, we got to make these common denominators. So we're going to multiply, since that's 4a squared, we need this one to be that too. So we're going to multiply by just 4a over itself. So 4a times minus or negative c, and 4a times a. I know it's kind of hard to see there. Try to write that in a little bit better. Yeah, 4a over 4a. So 4a times negative c, we get negative 4ac. Over, on the bottom, we get 4ac. Oh, I'm sorry, 4a squared. I don't want to mess this up on you guys. Plus b squared over 4a squared there. All right, so the whole idea there is that we get like terms, sorry, not like terms, but common denominators. So since we have that, now we can go ahead, and I'm actually going to, well, I'll go ahead and write this down here. We got x plus b over 2a squared, that was that one, is equal to, now, they're common denominators, so the whole thing is over 4a squared, but then we reorder this just because this is the way it's always been. I don't know who decided this forever ago. We could do it this way, but they always have the b squared first minus 4ac, right? So that is the heavy lifting of this. Really, the rest of the way is actually a little bit, it's not necessarily easy, but easier than some of that. So, anyhow, I'm going to go ahead and erase some of this and take that part at the end and bring it up top so we have enough room here. All right, so now if we have x plus b over 2a squared equal to b squared minus 4ac whole thing over 4a squared. All right, so we can erase this one down here. So that was the work we did earlier, was to get to this point. Now, to undo something squared, we need to do what? I don't have an audience here to answer that, but we're going to take the square root. Okay, so to undo something squared, we take the square root of both sides. When we do that, the square root and the squared cancel out. So we get x plus b over 2a is equal to, now when we bring the radical into something, we've been talking about with the complete the square stuff the last few days, anytime you bring the radical in, you have to account for plus and minus. So up top, we can't simplify any of those, right? Or at least we can't as a group. So we keep it plus or minus the square root of b squared minus 4ac. Now the denominator though, the square root of 4a squared, those are both perfect squares. So the square root of 4 is 2. The square root of a squared is a. And look there, we've got denominators on both sides with 2a. So finally, we can subtract the b over 2a from both sides, minus b over 2a. And so here, I'm going to write this kind of twice here. So this one, the opposite of b, or negative b over 2a. Some people say opposite of b. Technically, it's negative b over 2a, so we have that mathematically correct. Plus or minus the square root of b squared minus 4ac. That is also over 2a. So because these are common denominators, we can finally get our quadratic formula, negative b, or opposite of b, plus or minus the square root of b squared minus 4ac, the whole thing over our common denominators 2a, and there you go. That is the quadratic formula, or as Mr. O'Neill calls it. I hope he gets to see this, the quadratic formula. I'm going to have my kids, where are they at? Right there. My kids' farm animals in the video here. So hopefully everybody gets to see that one. I'm not sure why Mr. O'Neill calls it the quadratic formula. You can ask him about it the next time you see him. Okay? Hopefully he sees this video, though. That's a good one for you to have, at least to see. All of those properties are things we've already done in class. There is nothing new as far as the properties go. It's just there's a whole bunch of stuff going on. So we didn't get a chance to go over in class, but at least hopefully you get to see this video. And thank you guys for watching.